Okay. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Good. Good. Well, hey, Lee and I are intro. What you get some remarks here?
Well, I do. We're going to have a fun time tonight. We're going to learn a lot. We're going to talk a little bit about texting tonight. That's sort of the theme. And we're going to learn texting etiquette. And we're going to learn what you might want to say in a text as you're working with new candidates.
Yeah, great. And
there you go.
We want to welcome people who are here. Here in the room in Petaluma, we just finished a round of disc golf guided by a couple of semi-professionals, and
that's right.
We had a great time. And I just wanted to let you know that I know we've got we're probably checking the screen. I think Santa Barbara's hooked in with us, and Susanville, and all. So from one end of California to the other.
That's right.
And the invitation's also put out to Utah. And Arizona, and Florida. So
great.
Yeah. Nice.
It's a brave new world, and so I'll be talking to you sometimes. I'm talking to the people in the room because we're here because we want to. We're all. This is a team builders seminar, webinar. It's somebody's calling in. Anyhow, so
they're wondering why they can't see us.
The title of kind of the working title of tonight's seminar, and this came from Lee and Susan when we were talking the other night, is. Because we've always said this is a word of mouth business, right?
Yes.
You know, how do you advertise? It's word of mouth. It's person to person. Well, that will always be around. But think about this: the word of mouth is now online. It's now something that happens. So we're talking to a lot of people here. We're talking to people who are like Angela. Cell phone's no big deal, right? I mean, it's like wake up in the morning, check it out, and because Angela's in her 20s. I'm guessing.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, it's
18. Boy. So we're letting people know who are 18 to 35. Let you know that this business fits right in with what you do.
Yes.
You grew up doing. And we're saying we are adapting quickly because it's a new world. And I pulled out a book last night, I'm reading again, called How to Win Friends and Influence People. You've heard of that one?
Oh, yeah.
It was written in the 20s, and it talked about making a fortune of $100 a month. And you know, I mean, it was great principles, kind of hard to relate to, but the version I'm reading is called, and I'm yet to find out if it's a little dated already. It's a couple years old. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital Age, because people don't change, but what people do changes and how they do it. So, and how they think. So we're excited about that. We're gonna. This is our first webcast seminar. Right? And we've done fundamentals, we've done plans from Lee and Susan's house, and we hope this goes well because we see, we still know there's a need to get together. So hopefully, if you're watching, wherever you're watching from, I'm looking into the microphone, and actually the camera's there. I should know better than that. But actually, when we're in the studio, we look at the microphone. So like Lee said, the intro, what we're going to learn today is how, not just how, but why to use texting as a tool to build your business. How to use it as an effective tool, because the principles of what we do doesn't really change. But the techniques, that's the old saying, principles don't change, techniques change. But let's add one more. Principles stay the same, techniques change, technology changes. And honestly, Amway is so committed to being right there on the leading edge of everything that happens online, everything that happens in the cloud, everything that the way they do their business. They're old. Well, they're not older than I am. They're almost older than I am as a company. But they've taken it on and said, okay, we're going to be right out in front, and this like the Switch Share app and things like that, because you can actually, we've used that application to show complete plans. using 2 videos and the product example. So Amway's doing their part. Now it's up to us as team builders to do our part to be more efficient with what we do. And I'm going to bring Chris up because I could try to explain, but I'd prefer to have you talk about what led you on a path to change when
I read a book.
Yes.
I can't, the accountability book that we got in the system a month before this one, which was called No More Excuses. And it said that there's 4 areas that you have to figure out what is the right thing to do to hit your goal. And then you have to manage your time, you have to manage your space, and then you have, their biggest point was then you have to be accountable to that goal. So we're just gonna talk about the first one and the last one. So doing the right thing, and if there was one thing that would move your business forward, we were challenged on this question one time with the speaker. He says, what's the most important thing of all the steps they say to focus on to get done? What would you say?
Connecting.
Connecting?
Showing plans.
Showing plans.
Getting over your fear.
Getting over your fear.
Doing something productive in your business every day.
Consistency.
That's what I dream.
Consistency. Dream.
Booking appointments.
Booking appointments. So he said, those are all important. He said, but if you have to just pick one, he says, you need to get really good at booking appointments. You can't control how they're going to respond to your plan. You can't control how many people you connect with will show up at your plan. But if you just get good at booking appointments. And so we're going to go backwards from that a little bit. That means that you need to have a huge funnel of people to call and book appointments. Then what happened is I realized that we were doing phone sessions, and I was realizing I was having a hard time connecting with people on the phone. They were busy. I was, a lot of people didn't have a voicemail set up, right? How many people in this room do not have a voicemail set up on their phone? You all do? That's amazing. Quite a few people do not have voicemail set up on the phone. Do you find a lot of your friends on Helica, they're like, they don't even have a voicemail. So I was realizing if someone did not have a voice message set up on their phone, hello, this is Chris. I'm sorry I couldn't reach you. I'll call you back. That means they do not listen to their voicemail. So when I get that, I do not leave a message, right? So it took a little bit of time to figure out I can have more leeway if I just learn to text people. And we'll show some examples about how that's been productive for us. And so what we decided that even though the Blitz has been a great tool to create consistency in our business, not Lee, is that showing up on our YouTube there a little
Close to
bit?
the camera.
Okay, so we have,
There you go.
okay, so we have these categories, 1 through 10 points, and you all have a paper in front of you. So we added a column on the left, which was just putting a hash mark on there when you do a connection, whether it is make a phone call, a text, or an email, to track the number of calls you make a day. And many is their basic productivity in a business that relies on connecting with a lot of people. Who remembers the movie Pursuit of Happiness? Okay, how did that character?
He never hung up the phone.
He never hung up the phone. He didn't worry about anything except how many calls can I make. And he would do that. And if there was, no matter what the response, if he didn't get the right response, he would just, and then he would do another one, do another one, do another one. So he became wildly successful by focusing on how many calls can I get out there. And we didn't have that accountability on our chart. And we don't apply points to it. But basically, if you can set a goal of how many calls you will make a day, that will naturally lead into the rest of the points.
But just bear with me. Let's redefine that though, because if you think about that movie and when that took place, it was in the 80s when phones still had cords, and for the most part they had rotary dials or push buttons.
Yes.
So that concept, and we're like Chris said, we're used to saying how many calls can you make a day? Well, we're going to kind of break out of that paradigm that we're making calls. So you were calling touch.
A touch.
Right?
It could be email.
And so everything that
Yeah.
we're talking about, instead of saying calls, it's a touch, it's a text, it's an email, it's however
Right.
people want to communicate.
A new name on the list. Every time I get a new name on the list, right? You give yourself 1 point every time you get a new name on the list. I said I've been doing this for a while. I was ending up with a lot of names that I had got. I would lose track of those names. And so I had to learn to circle back. This is something strong. I'm going to get a new point when I circle back to that name, but I want to keep it in my consciousness. I need to make sure I complete the loop on that. All that distills down to this was a yes, I'm going to book a plan. This is no, I'm not going to book a plan. And I was realizing I wasn't even getting to that with these names. I was like, I don't know. I never really ended up talking to that. So where do you get names from to put on your names list? Tell me, where do you get names from? Names on your phone? Great. Where else?
Events. Or talk to.
Anyone you meet?
We go to a lot of events.
Meetups.
Meetups.
Groups you're already a part of, like
Group.
your church or your kids' soccer
All right.
team or whatever.
People you already know. Tweeting. LinkedIn. Who has a LinkedIn account? Okay. There are a lot of names in there, and people are connecting with you all the time on LinkedIn for a reason. They're in business. Remember, you're in business. So you want to use all these ways to add more names to your list. And then set a goal of how many names in a day, how many connections you will make in a day. All right. Now, I have never made 10 new names in a day. I just have not ever done that. I rarely get 5 new names on a day from out meeting people, right? New names. But I can easily send out 5 text messages a day, right? Easily. I have a funnel. You have a gold mine of people. You have a funnel of people that you need to circle back to and keep giving yourself a point every day to do that. The other nice thing about text is that you have a little bit more leeway on when you can call people, and you can be really clear with what you want to say. So who wants to know about what to put in a text? Okay, so let's do that. And I am going to, if it works for Lee to pull up, when you get that on the phone, some examples of phrases. You really cannot make a mistake. But although there is a couple of things to avoid, don't try to look like an infomercial on a text. You can make a lot of money. Don't be like some of the text messages or phone calls you get from telemarketers that says, hey, I know you've never met me before, but I have a feeling that you're going to really like what I have to say. Could you just take 10 minutes and learn how to make $50,000 in a month without talking to anybody, without leaving your sofa, without picking up a pencil, without picking up a phone, without using a product, without doing a dang thing? Hang on and listen to this video, and I'm going to tell you how to do that. Do you even get that far on those phone calls? You're like that? Yeah, right. That's crazy. But if you're not careful, your text message can be a little bit like that. You know, if you want to say, hey, there's people making gobs of money, and I think that you're just the right person for this. It's like, I don't know, that might kind of set me off a little bit. So the phrases that, or the principles that I would use is, be really clear with what you want to say. Don't get one text message out and send it to everybody else and just change the name. So I'm going to say, we can just throw some up there.
Yeah, and what what not to do. It's like, part of this is learning, part of this
Yeah, not
is
playing my
learning
phone.
to not be that person. So, I mean, on NPR, everywhere I've been reading about emojis. Don't use them in your business text. Dollar signs instead of the letter S. Don't do it, because we are professionals in this business. I'm just gonna say that's my suggestion. I can't tell you what to do,
If your
but
prospect uses an emoji with you,
yeah.
then use an emoji back. That means they like that language. But if they don't, you look like an 8th grader when you do it, okay? That makes sense. And who knows what an emoji is? It's a happy face sign on your phone.
So it's the difference between you have your business life and you have your social life and you have your family life. And I think in your business, that's the time to separate from the rest of your life. Okay.
Can I put a few up here?
Yeah. Well, let me see what I can find here.
Oh, I just have one right here.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. So Ellen and I were watching the Warriors game yesterday, or a couple days ago, and we run into Katie, Chris, who were a friend of Chris. They said, "Oh, we here share our table." Chris and Chris's boyfriend were there, so he had to leave early. And said, "Oh, Katie, hey, let's keep numbers." So we exchanged numbers. That's it. And I said, I always will say, well, what is it that you do? I'm a student, but I said, well, is that long term, or are you keeping your options open? And she said, I don't know. And I said, I don't know either. Let's exchange numbers. So we exchange numbers, and then it will go something like, this is my text. Now, why don't I just call Katie? Because she's busy, and I don't want to I know exactly what I want to say. In my text, I want to make a warm connection, a compliment if I have one, a recognition that they've already got something good going, and I'm going to say, hi Katie, this is Chris, friend of Chris Ramos, great meeting another neighbor, and we're your friend at a local bar. I know you have a career going, but I have a question. Are you open to extra income or another career option? If the money and people were right, let me know. Either way is okay. That's Chris. This is my first conversation I've had with her on text. Now, I sent it the next day. I want her to remember me.
Is this a good time?
No.
You don't have to on text.
Exactly, right. So here's her answer. Hi, Chris. It was very fun, very nice sharing the table with you too. I'm always open to extra income, and if the money and people are right. I wouldn't turn my head at another career option. Are you two watching the Warriors game tonight? So I answered her back the next day because I didn't get to her. I said, well, yes, we did. What a fun game. 70-footer from Curry. Amazing. You saw that. Oh, it was so awesome. From almost the whole court. Yeah. He threw and made a basket. Okay. So I say, what's the week look like for coffee conversation about business? Do you have a set schedule to work around? Okay. So that's how that went. I haven't heard back from her. So now if I haven't heard back from her, this is my next one, then I'm going to text her back again and say, and I will do 3 or 4 times, text, and then I'm going to find out that nothing happens. She's going to go back to the bottom of my pile. I mean, hurry up. Okay, so here's
I have
another
a
one.
question, Chris.
Yes, go ahead.
What is the time between the texts if you don't get a response? What do you
Next day.
generally do?
Next day, I will, or if I can get around to it in another couple days. So this is another one. I found a name in my phone. He was a partner of her daughter's 20 years ago. So I look up his name on LinkedIn. I find him. He's working in the South Bay. He's graduated from San Jose State. So I try that number, and as you'll see this time, it turns out this is the answer I get. So basically, I want to say, just ran across your number. I see from LinkedIn, you've really found a niche at Granger. It's a great company. You were a classmate of Laura's briefly in business. Hopefully, to update our business in 2030 is a great question. Do you know any candidates who want to develop and own an asset income? I appreciate the consideration. As I remember, he was a very sharp young man. Best to you. And then he answered back, guess what? I think you have the wrong number. And I answered back, thank you. Guess what I got? I found out what to do with Tim Wong's number on my phone now. I can erase it, right? So I hit my goal. My goal was to find out, should I dump this Tim Long number? Should I call it? Is he a candidate? It's a wrong number, and he didn't respond to that. I gave him a chance. Even if it's a wrong number, he could have answered that back. Should I do another one?
Well, no, I've got one I want to talk about.
Okay, great.
So, and then we're gonna bring Lee and Susan up here, more about how to most effectively do this. But I had one, I'm gonna pull one up, and you won't be able to see it on the screen, but it was, hi, I'm trying to reach Randall. This is a year ago. Contact us a year ago. I hope this is the right number. We met in Santa Barbara about a year ago at Macy's. You said you were from the Bay Area like me. I'm going to be down there next Monday, Tuesday. And I haven't gotten a response. So, but part of it was, I hope I have the right number. You know, and if I do, get back to me, we'll get together. So it is what Chris started doing that I thought was great is this. Well, about 2 minutes.
Yeah, great.
Hit refresh. Not just hit refresh on your Amway business, hit refresh on your contacts. Hit refresh, go back to numbers. It's a really safe way to do it. Use a text. Go back to the people who never said no and they never said yes.
Or you never called them.
Or you never called them.
Or they never answered.
Yeah.
Do you have people on your phone that you've never really found out if they're a candidate or not? Certainly you do. So it really will do that.
Because it is, I mean, I love texting. And I realized through our children are 26 and 29. And I figured out a few years ago that I could leave all the voicemails I wanted to. They were never going to be listened to. And that kept driving home when I would call Ben and the mailbox was always full. That means they'd never been listened to. But I could send a text and get an answer back within 60 seconds. So I always make a point, especially if it's someone I've had a conversation with, but especially new IBOs, new partners, I'll ask people, what's the best way to get a hold of you? What do you like best? Text, phone call, email? What do you like the best? And whatever they say that's the right answer. And that's how I'm going to connect with that person on a regular basis.
All right.
Okay, you want
This
to?
person here is, well, I have to scroll here. That's okay. We can watch that. Her name, and so I met her when we were buying our discs. And so I said, hi, Phaedra there. Thanks for helping us out. A question. Have you ever thought of owning your own business? I just said, put it out there. All right. And she answered back right away with that. Yes, I'm very interested in owning my own business. How about getting together at Starbucks after work sometime? I'll bring my info iPad. I'll share idea with you. If it's worth learning more, we can do that. Sounds fair enough. I did an emoticon. Just said it. She says, yes, sounds like a plan. Thank you so much. I'll figure out my work schedule. This went on. I never had a phone conversation with this young lady, but she's seen the plan and we'll have this is going on for a couple of weeks. She's in finals. So it will go on and on. And she did say, I have 2 classes on Tuesday. I was 3 kids and 3 families. We're doing texting, working back. And it turns out we've rescheduled once. I also use texting to find out, make sure someone's going to show up. If they don't answer my text, I don't think they're going to be at that appointment. And I will tell them when we book the appointment, we're going to text and confirm that morning. Is that okay? Because I don't want to drive somewhere and they're not there. Okay. Now I'm just going to add one more thing that helps me with posture. And that is that I don't have a particular text, I think, that does this, but I will put this on the message. I'll say, does that sound fair enough? Or I'll say, my feelings won't be hurt if you're not interested, but I do believe in giving everyone a chance. And that's been really helpful for me. Because that's really, I want them to know feelings won't be hurt if you're not interested. I think it gives them permission to, yeah, let's sit down and look. It won't bother me if you say no. But I do want to give you a chance. So that's my tips on texting. I think I've covered everything. Yeah, I think I've covered everything on the list. All right, so I'm going to have Lee and Susan come up and talk about a little bit more things about how to have etiquette around texting. Lee and Susan, all right.
That was fabulous.
What a
Did you all
crowd.
learn a lot?
Yeah, yeah. And listening to Chris made me think about a whole lot of things that in some ways are judgment calls. We're going to talk about etiquette in particular. We're going to talk about do's and don'ts. There's some things you don't want to do with texting, and there's some things you do want to do.
Particularly
thank
with
you.
business
That's a bright light.
texting.
Yeah, particularly with business texting. So we're going to kind of go through some of those things.
Yes.
You want to start? I think you're going to take the
First, I
lead.
want to say I especially like how breezy Chris's texts are.
Yeah.
You know, people are going to participate more easily because they're breezy and because there's compliments and
Well, and I want
warm
to say,
fuzzies.
yeah, and I want to say also that we're making friends here. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We are. If you were here, you would see us. So should we?
Thanks, Liz.
Should we jump right in? Oh, you got
So,
something else.
but the thing is, we're in business really to make friends. That's how we're going to help candidates get through this. And so you can make friends in person. You can make friends through texting. You can make friends a lot of ways. Now, for long, you can't really make friends online. But as time goes by, yes, you can. Okay.
People
But-
date that way.
But
I
and
guess
yeah,
you
exactly. And our business is kind of like dating, right? It's
Uh-huh.
kind of like that.
Yeah.
So so we're going to go through some do's and don'ts of texting.
Don't, for business, don't abuse informal abbreviations. You know, think twice about NP for no problem or U for you, YOU, the letter U. It's, you know, again, if they use it to you, it's probably okay to use it to them. But using abbreviations in casual language can make you seem a little less professional, and you may confuse your candidate. I've been someone who sees, you know, something like SMH. What's SMH? You know,
I got to tell you guys, that
and it makes you feel stupid.
yeah, I have a buddy of mine, and he's always sending me acronyms, and so I don't know what he's talking about. So I have to text him back and say, "What are you talking about?" So I would recommend in this day of our text, we don't have to abbreviate like we used to. Remember with the 9 keys? You had 9 keys on your phone in different letters. I don't know if you guys ever did that or not. It's horrible. But so you really wanted to abbreviate then. It's not necessary anymore. It's not businesslike. It's not professional.
Well, you were going to ask how many people, is there anybody who still pays for texts received?
Oh, good question. Yeah, who pays for texting here? Do you get unlimited texting, or does anybody
Okay,
pay like
so
10
we
cents a
don't- yeah,
text?
Yeah, so that,
Okay.
we don't have to worry about
So
that.
I want to do
That's
that
really good.
poll because, you know, if it's costing somebody money every time you text them, that's a consideration.
Right, but it
But
doesn't
I don't
seem
think
like-
that's
no.
true for anybody anymore.
But the bottom line, according to entrepreneur.com, recent article, if you're communicating with a new customer or an acquaintance who might be a candidate, take 30 extra seconds and type out each word. So that's different than a friend text.
Or talk out each
Oh,
one.
and you know, I want to suggest you grade yourself on these. Give yourself a plus or a minus.
Yeah, how you doing?
Or an NA. Maintain a professional tone. Texting is fast and brief, so it's quite possible that your message can be perceived as harsh or abrupt. For this reason, always use positive and professional words in your message. For example, use please and thanks in every communication.
I have an example of what not to do when you're texting. I have a buddy of mine, and I got a text from him the other day. The text goes, "We need to talk." I don't like that. That's a bad tone for me. We
But
need
if he
to
added,
talk. That's
"Please,"
like a wife that's angry.
Right.
You know, I mean, she's going to talk and you got to be quiet. That doesn't work.
But if he added a please, it'd be fine. So
Right.
just think about those things.
Exactly.
And also using all capital letters indicates anger. And I didn't know that until Lee said that to me about an email I was sending out. I just wanted to be enthusiastic. And he said, no, that means you're mad to a lot of people. So be cautious about that.
So bold might be okay, except you can't do that in a text, but an email, that's a good thing to do.
And you want to keep it short and sweet. From my dear sister-in-law, I get messages that go, you know, there's several messages and then they don't come in order. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
You ever noticed you get a long text and they're out of order, you have to figure out which order they're in? Don't do that to your candidate. That can be frustrating and annoying. Avoid sending texts early in the morning or late at night. Yes, we can all disable alerts during sleepy hours, but some of us forget.
If anybody texts me in the middle of the night, you're not my friend anymore. Because it's going to wake me up.
Yeah, because we don't always remember, turn off the lights, lock the doors, and disable your text.
Yeah, and besides, maybe I've set my phone for an alarm. I want to wake up in the morning. I don't want your text to wake me up.
Right, especially if you're not a best friend.
I found I can get the text ready and then save it as a draft.
Oh,
I can
excellent,
do it at 1 in the
excellent,
morning, but I
excellent.
can decide I'm going to send it at 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have
okay.
15 or 20 drafts.
All
Sure.
right. Good point.
Never interfere with anyone's private.
Do you think that came over the audio, or should I repeat that?
Please repeat it.
Yeah.
Okay. Robin made an excellent point, and she, she's busy texting and she wants to get those texts off her to-do list. She'll save them as a draft and send them during decent hours the next day.
Yeah.
I think that's excellent.
Yeah, that's
And
excellent.
did I miss anything in your, okay, great.
It's like a telephone call. Consider when you're going to call somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't be texting somebody when they're at their job.
Right.
All right. Maybe that's a bad idea too. Maybe you shouldn't be texting anybody when you're at your job.
Right.
So
here's some other times not to
let me-
text by
okay.
you.
Oh yeah, this is kind of fun.
Maybe
Okay,
that
so
would
I
help. You
just did the
did the
work
first
one, right? And then if you're engaged with someone else, you're talking to somebody, or even more, is anybody texting here right now? Because if you are, you're rude. So
That includes you people out there.
yeah, that's right. So it's rude to text when you're there to visit with somebody. It's rude
Or
to
in a
text
meeting
in a
or a
meeting.
presentation.
Yeah, I mean, everybody probably knows
Of
that.
course, while
but,
driving.
but you see people do it all the time.
Really,
That's
did
right.
you have to add that one?
Yeah. One of the things
We
I read an
found
article.
this in our research.
Yeah, this wasn't my idea, but our research said that do not text while you're having sex. So I figure, that's promoting.
I thought they had to put that down in writing?
Yeah. Okay. So,
That
all
would be
right.
rude. Yeah, you're very, and we all appreciate those notes.
Yes, that's right. I know you're new.
Yeah, I
Yes, you
know.
do. So
Never text a last minute delay or cancellation. There are many reasons someone might not be able to pick up your text. So if you're not going to make it there in time, or something came up and you can't make it there at all, that's a phone call.
Yeah.
That's a phone call.
yeah, absolutely.
Then you've done your best. They may not take that either or get that either, but you've done your best.
That's right.
Double check the autocorrect. You have a funny story. Are you willing to share that story? I'll lead up. You think about it. Autocorrect, I've had one like that, but I can't remember the exact details. Autocorrect and voice-to-text features have a sneaky way of changing your intended message into something entirely different and often embarrassing. Everybody's going, yeah.
You've seen those online. Yeah.
Also, while using voice-to-text, be sure you're in a quiet location. It picks up on background noise and may type a conversation nearby instead of what you're saying. So, and that could be embarrassing, like if, you send a candidate a text and mixed in there, somebody's having a breakup conversation in there. or
Yeah, we've
something.
had that happen. Well, we kind of
Somebody's voices.
we're texting and we wind up having to go to separate rooms because
Yeah, oh, yeah.
otherwise,
Yeah,
it's like-
there's a tip. Don't do your text in the same room with your business partner because you could be mixed.
right, exactly.
And,
And what do I have?
You had-
name spelling. My text, when I send a text to somebody, it misspells their name all the time because these days people spell their name differently.
right.
Like I work with a guy named Curtis, Kirtis, right? Well, my phone's not going to know that.
So check.
and people's names are important. How to win friends and influence people, right?
Digital or not.
So check the spelling for sure. Yeah, digital or not.
Send to more than one recipient with extreme caution. Would you share that story, Chris, about what happened there without names?
One time, so communicating, and one person met a prospect, and then I said, well, I will text the prospect. So I texted the prospect, sent a copy to the person that met the prospect, and when the IBO partner got that, she answered me back about the prospect. But when she hit answer, she was answering me and the prospect. And so it was a little bit awkward because then the prospect, that it wasn't a message for the prospect, it was for me, but the prospect saw it. And basically she just said, this is really weird. And we never heard from her again.
Yeah. So it's not quite like email where if you're conscious, you'll think, oh, is this a reply all or is this a reply?
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, you can tell if it's a multiple message situation, and chances are, most of the time, you're going to want to send back just to one person who's on that list.
Right.
So be really careful. I know I had a friend of mine. There were 7 people sending out messages, and it was going nuts, and his phone was going crazy. He got really angry. got
Because it
really
was
upset.
dinging every
'Cause it was
time
dinging every time there's a
anybody
message.
responded, right?
So yeah, what you have to do is find out who in that group you need to send a message to. And then what you want to do is just send the message to them. Don't just reply to the multiple message.
Yeah.
That's just really good etiquette.
Yeah, if it's a group message, make sure you're replying to who you think you are. Sometimes you want to reply to a whole group.
Yeah.
Like in our leadership and our leads group, but that's different.
Email's nice because you can choose whether it goes to everybody or just one person. Reply or reply all. But in messaging, it doesn't work that way. So be careful.
This is something I often use is I ask for permission for appointment for a live call. Can I make an appointment with you for a good time to talk live? I do that with IBO partners, and
Yeah.
I also do that with candidates.
Or is now a good time to talk?
Right.
You know?
And then when someone texts you immediately by live, that's considered an intrusion. They texted you because they don't have time to talk to you right now or don't wish to talk to you right now. So if you say, oh boy, they're available, and you call them, that's considered rude.
Yeah, unless they say, call me.
Right.
And that happens too.
So ask for a good time
We
for a
need to
live
talk.
call.
No, don't do that.
You can answer and say, when's a good time? Or is this a good time if you know them a little better?
I'm going to talk a little bit about one thing is I wind up sometimes texting back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I think there's a time where you need to bring it to the phone. So if you're working through a process with somebody, or if you're trying to set up a schedule with somebody, what you're going to want to probably do is get in the phone mode. Because I know that just texting back and forth, it could take 30 minutes to make it. Yeah.
The Starbucks where?
Yeah.
2:00, no, 3 is better for me. Well, you can go on forever.
So then it's
So-
time to say, can we talk?
Yeah. 2-text rule. I read this over and over again. If you text someone 2 times within a short period of time with no response, they don't want to talk right now. Wait a week or 2 before trying again. So that's a good rule of thumb. Wait a little while if they're not getting back.
Yeah. I have someone who I've texted a couple of times in the last couple of days and I'm not getting response. So it's time to, step back. That's
Just like live, opening with a question or a compliment always makes them feel like they're the first most important thing. So you could open, the Business Insiders where I got this. Starting with a question is a great warmth indicator. So what do you think of the game? What do you think that play of that? I'm out of my depth now, but a question like that, something, if you.
how about that disc golf?
If you've been with them long enough to get their number in your phone, you should have had enough conversation that you have the cutest little girl. It could send me another picture. It could be any number of things.
As long as it's genuine, as long as it's real.
Right.
I want to backtrack a minute too, because one of the things, if somebody sends you a text, it's probably a good idea to text back as soon as you can. Don't wait a day or 2 days. The reason somebody texts you in the first place is because they want a little bit more of an immediate response. So you want to respond as soon as you can. That's
This
just
is
one
an
note.
important one. It should have been.
Oh yeah, this one.
We're almost done though. Guys.
Yeah, we're just about
We're
finished
done.
up. One of the things is if it's somebody who may not have your name and your phone number in their phone, you may want to introduce yourself.
Like Chris did in the example.
Yeah, exactly. So if I know that my number's not in their phone, I'm going to say, hey, it's Lee Strong, and then I'll proceed with my text. I need
Or
people
Lee
to know.
Strong, and we had such a great talk to you at the Grayton Chamber event.
Right, exactly. I need to refresh. I need to tell people who is this. If you've ever gotten a text and it's some phone number, you don't know what's going on. I did one. It was actually for one of your candidates, Liz, and the response was "Who dis?" and it was spelled just that way, right? Who dis? And I answered back, "Well, I'm a friend of Liz." Okay. Liz, who's Liz? I don't remember who it was.
I think it was a woman.
But we finally got it figured out, but it was pretty fun anyway. So identify yourself.
Yeah, but if it was voicemail, you wouldn't even got know who dis. So this,
Right,
this is good.
So I like that. And then, one other thing too, when you're ending a text, sometimes texts go on and on and on. Now, it's time to say goodbye. Now on a phone, you go, okay, goodbye. Well, you don't necessarily do that in a text, do you? So they might have made a comment and you say, sounds good, and then off you go. Now, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll end my conversation with just a thumbs up emoticon.
And people often do with a smiley face.
And Lee sent me one this week with a bullseye at the end, meaning we were on target.
That's a
perfect,
period.
yeah, that's a perfect way, in my estimation, to end a text, because at some point in time, you've got to stop texting. It drives me nuts to go on and on. It's like, I got to go. Anyhow.
For the laser start.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is, and just like in email and texting, they don't go away. People can save those. They can put them online. Be sure whatever you do in your text is positive. Don't say anything negative about anybody or anything. Keep it positive. That's so important, because if you don't do that, somebody else is going to get a hold of that and they go, this guy's a real
this
chump.
is like persona development that we talked about in our fast track
Yeah.
call. You get to start now and relaunch and build a great persona. Make sure it's a positive one.
Yeah, people know you by what you text and what you post online. At one of these sessions, we're going to talk about good things and bad things to post on, for example, Facebook. It's real important, because you don't want to put stuff up there that's going to offend anybody. And so there's a lot of things that can offend people. So anyhow, I think we're just about finished up.
think that's
Anybody
it.
got any questions
Or
about any of that?
anything to add?
Oh, in fact, yeah. Anybody got a pet peeve about texting that they really don't like or they need to see changed? Any comments about that?
Okay, so we covered it pretty much.
So we're good.
Did you get some new stuff, Angelica, as a texter already? Yes. Did you get something new from this?
Oh, no.
Nothing new?
No.
Okay, great. I'm
That's
glad.
great.
Yeah. So all of this was familiar.
All right.
Good. Then
Let's-
we're right on.
Let's bring Chris back up, and away we go. Yeah. Thank you.
If it's 7:45, is it a suitable time to send a text to somebody?
To practice, yes, because that's
Let's
what we're
do
here
it.
to do.
So let's do
go
it.
for it. Yes.
So
absolutely.
I want to help you guys through at least one text. Find somebody in your contact, okay? And it's somebody that you maybe have not found out if they're keeping their options open. So what would be something to say? Hey, how are you? I like to start with that. Hey, how are you? Just thought of you, having a blast with some friends playing disc golf for the first time. We're also launching a business. I'm wondering if you're interested in making some more money. What's wrong with that, right? That could be a text, right? Now, what are the issues? Are there people on your phone that you just don't even remember who they are? I hope so. If you're getting enough numbers, this is how I suggest you get numbers from people. It's when I meet somebody, I say, "Oh, let's share numbers, and we'll talk about some things that maybe would you'd be interested in as far as business." They say, "Oh yeah, that's great," because I often will say, "So what's your next career step?" When I meet somebody, what's your next career step? And they'll either have an answer or they go, "Man, I don't know. I've been thinking about that. What a great opening," right? And I say, good. I entrepreneurs talking business all the time. Let's stay in touch. And so how am I going to do that? What I'll do is I'll open to my contacts. I'll go to the blank spot and I say, "Why don't you just put your number in here?" And they'll put in their own number and name because they can do it faster than I can. And they'll say, "And what's your number?" And I said, what I'll do is, and I take my phone back and I say, "I'll just say hi right now." So there's their number. I hit reply, send message, and say, "Hi from Chris, nice meeting you." Now they have my number. I have their number, right? That's the easiest way to just exchange numbers, right? Now, how old is too old to go back to? No, I just met a lovely lady that I met easily 3 years ago, and she was on my phone, never answered. But how do I find these people on my phone? So I'm going to suggest that you do something that Use No Excuses, that book really recommends, and that's use a tracking method to keep track of people that are candidates, prospects in your phone. So I'm going to just, by holding my phone. So when I meet somebody, they put their number in my phone. I go to my contacts. You can search your contacts, right? When someone's name is in your phone, you can search by area code, first name, last name, town, any information that you have under that contact. You put in the search, it'll pull up everyone in 707. It'll pull up in the search right in your contacts. Very top. What do you use your search for? What do you use your search for in your contacts?
I search for candidates.
Oh.
I
Search
put-
for
I put
candidates.
the word candidate in my notes.
Yeah.
When I search candidate, they're all there.
So I put prospect next to that. So here is this woman. I have prospect and I also have Afonso next to it because I met her through Afonso, in the notes Afonso prospect. So when I have got 5 minutes sitting in my car, you've got to make time for texts. When I've got 5 minutes, all of my contacts are in here. They are taken out of here and put in here. All right. And they have the tag in the notes prospect. So I'll put in there and I think I've probably got right now currently a couple hundred candidates, prospects that I haven't gotten around to, or it's later. So I'm getting, now that we're doing the tracking our calls, I'm flushing out my list. Tim Wong is going to go away. A couple others are going to are gone away because they've told me, no, I'm really not interested. So I don't need them on my list anymore. Okay. But others, I'll put it on there. So when I search prospect, I can spend on a 10-minute break. I can get, right?
When you say they go away, you don't delete them from your phone.
I-
You just take the prospect word out.
I have had to delete them from my phone because I have so many. You can leave them in there, but
It's the wrong number.
if it's a wrong number, I got rid of the wrong number for the gentleman, Tim Wong. I'm going to delete it because it's just, to me, white noise. I need my list to mean something.
Yeah.
Okay, I need it to mean something. So I also put artistry in there if they're a customer, or excess. That's how I track people in my phone. So that's managing your business in a way that you can easily get out 2-3 texts in 5 minutes. Okay, because you've got them all pulled up there. So the last lady we met, it had been 3 years, and when she answered back, her name was Christy Birchfield, and she said, I think we met at Target. I apologize, it's been 3 years, but you mentioned that you were looking for something in cosmetology. Did you ever graduate from school? I'd like to stay connected with you. And she answered back, well, I've done this, I've done that. I'm not an esthetician, but I am leaving your options open. Yes. And so I said, well, good way to check out is to get together. She said, I'm not comfortable because I don't even really know who you are. I says, my apologies. That's right. I said, I think we met at Target. I'm not sure. She said, well, here's where I work. Why don't you come by and we can talk. And I thought, well, she's kind of really put me off. But I thought it was a very sensible young lady. She doesn't know who I am. She doesn't know that I'm Chris Suddeth. She really is being a smart person. She said, if you want to meet me, come meet me at my work. So I go through her. I said, is Christy working here? And she said, I'm Christy. I said, I'm the woman that's been trying to stay in touch with you. And she said, oh, yeah. So then she said, yeah, definitely. And so after she gets married in a couple of weeks, we will get together. She's interested in developing a business of her own. That was 3 years old. What I'm motivated for, and I'm going to suggest to you, is clean up your list. Clean it up. Flush it out. Find out who's a candidate, who's later, because it can kind of make you think like, wow, I've got 500 names on here. I'm in business. No, you've just got a bunch of names. You've got to categorize them. You've got to consistently connect with them. And then I'm going to suggest that you need an accountability group. Someone, it doesn't matter, downline, upline, someone that you say, I am going to do this many touches a day. I would say calls, but they're not calls. It's either what's a touch?
Email, text, phone call,
One of those.
in person.
Yeah, or stop by where I work. Yeah. So basically, it's going to be one of those. So you say, I'm going to do 2 a day, 3 a day. The number is not important. Set a goal. You may not hit it every day, but then at the end of the day, text your accountability group and say, I did 7 today. I did 2 today. It's not about new names or who called back or anything. Keep it simple. Say, I did this many today. No matter where you are, if you want an accountability group with Bruce or with Alan, it doesn't matter because I'm not really answering back. I might just say, yay, that's great. But I really believe, guys, without an accountability group, you don't do as much, right? You just don't do it because no one notices, right? And you want to tell people, you want to show that your group that, hey, I did my best. One day when I didn't make any, and I set a goal that I should have made 10. I didn't make any, so I said, well, tomorrow I'll do 15. And dang it, I did 15. Because I said I would. And if it gets late at night, do them as drafts, okay? I'm going to tell you, you will find out the people that want to grow. Why shouldn't they respond to a text? Why shouldn't they? Business is changing. Headhunters are not using live calls like they used to. For executive recruiting is not working the same way it used to. It's working by LinkedIn. It's working by Facebook. It's working by texting. It's working by different ways than it used to be. Word of mouth is now online, right? Word of mouth is in technology. It's on your phone. It's on the email. That is word of mouth. And it's still true that word of mouth is the best advertising. It's the best way to build a business. But I think the tips that Lee and Susan gave were awesome. Practice. You'll find what works. Keep that posture in there. That people ask people, say, hey, would a look, just a look-see for 30 minutes be good enough? Now, I'm going to add one more thing. What if people want to know more and you want to send them a video? You can. So I'll tell this last story. So I meet somebody at the bank and he says, yeah, I keep my options open, but I really can't. I'm really kind of stuck because I've got, a kid at home and I can't really go to school and I've got 2 jobs. I said, well, I don't really believe anybody's stuck. Give me your text. I'll have my husband call you. There's ways to get unstuck. And he right away, he said, this is one of those, multi-level business. He said, I've done this, I've done that. I just don't know if I have time for that. I said, I don't know if it'd be right for you either. I said, he didn't want to give me his phone number. I said, well, just give me your email. I'll email you something. So email him. For him, I want to filter him out right away. I want him to know it's Amway, it's a SwitchShare app, it's the coolest thing going. He needs their app. So I'm sending him the video of how the SwitchShare app looks. Say, take a look. This is how business is working today with Amway. What's it hurt, right? What's it hurt? He's either going to go, wow, that's awesome, or not answer me at all. But I won't know if I don't follow through. So funny thing though, his name is Sal. And when I put in his email, I realized I had gotten his email about 4 years earlier. It was already in my phone at a different bank. And I just had never gotten around to calling him, So keep circling back, and something is better than nothing. Just put it out there. Okay?
Yeah.
Hey guys.
I just want to mention one thing real quickly too. Susan and I have been going to a number of meetups and after hours for the chamber and this kind of thing. And what we've discovered is we get cards and we meet people, we learn a little bit about them. And what Susan did just yesterday, I think it was yesterday, was send out some emails to some of the people we just met. A very short amount of time. And you got a response back on one of those already.
I did.
Now,
It was basically just fun to meet you, maybe something we spoke about.
yeah,
It's the first touch.
nice to meet you. It was fun. It was the first touch, which can lead to another touch. But I think the key is to do it right away, because after a couple of days, they're not going to remember you. Okay. And and I'm lapsed because I haven't sent mine out yet. I got 3 cards. I had conversation with 3 people. I need to send them an email, because what's the point of even getting a business card if you don't use it? All right. And it's a really good idea to use it, right away. So I just want to bring that up. That's not texting per se, and it could be texting. It just needs to be right away. You need to kick it out fast, and then you're done. And if you can roll with a little bit of momentum and speed that way, I think a lot of good things can happen. So I just want to bring that up because I think it's pretty important for all of us to be a little bit more on the money in terms of timing. I know, and I'm talking to me when I say this. I'm the one who needs to be more on the money, but I think it's important. So that's it for that. Alan, you got something?
No, I'm just gonna run the webinar portion of what we're doing, and if you were able to watch this online, we're really happy. We're going to do this again. We're going to get all the bugs out, and well, if you're it's already been posted if you're hearing me. Thanks for coming. Hey, everybody, we got a big crowd here. Let them hear it. Yeah.